Hello all, welcome to the MUAC class. I am Dr. Tejinder Kaur. Hope you are enjoying your online sessions. In the last module, we talked about body composition and direct methods to assess the same. In this module, we will be talking about indirect methods of assessing body composition. As already discussed, in terms of physical activity, body composition can be a term to describe percentage of fat, bone, muscle and water in human body. There are direct, criterion and indirect methods to measure body composition, each having their own advantages and disadvantages. Body composition determined directly by chemical analysis is very close to accuracy, but analysis is cumbersome, rather not always practically possible for population studies. Direct and criterion methods have already been discussed in the last module. This module will highlight on the indirect methods of assessing body composition. By the end of this module, you all will be able to comprehend the term indirect methods of assessing body composition, understand its different components, understand anthropometry in detail, comprehend bioelectrical impedance analysis and its importance in body composition. Let us understand the different indirect methods of assessing body composition. As the name suggests, indirect method of assessing body composition provides indices of body composition based on results from direct and criterion methods. Although indirect method of assessment, anthropometry has been widely used since ages for assessing nutritional assessment and health conditions like body composition, malnutrition and obesity. Anthropometry or anthropometric measurements are subjects to change in nutrition, lifestyle and ethnic variation. Indirect methods of assessing body composition has an advantage over the other two models as it can be conveniently used for population studies and over a very long period of time. There are basically two major indirect methods of assessing body composition. Number 1, anthropometry, and number 2, bioelectrical impedance analysis, which is also known as BIA. WHO, which is World Health Organization, has provided many guidelines and references to provide guidance on the use and interpretation of anthropometric measurements. Let us start with anthropometry. Anthropometric measurements are the basic methods of assessing body composition, and it describes body mass, shape, size and even the level of fatness by height, weight, skin fold thickness at different body parts, circumferences of different body parts and their further calculations through body mass index, waist hip ratio and weight to height ratio. Presently, the most commonly used anthropometry are weight, height, weight hip ratio and its derivatives like body mass index, which is known as BMI, waist hip ratio, which is known as WHR respectively, and then we have a very recent one which is waist to height ratio. Anthropometric measurements have an additional advantage of providing information on the past nutritional history which cannot be obtained by equal confidence using any other assessment technique. Let us understand them one by one. We will begin with height and weight. Body weight is one of the most expedited and helpful indicator of nutritional status. It is a non-specific measure to all the body components including fat and protein. Weight is basically made up of muscle, fat, bone and internal organs with addition to physiological circumferences of edema or adipose tissue, and is widely used for evaluation of nutritional status. Earlier, spring balance scales were used to measure weight, but as the technology has advanced, electronic weighing balances are used now. These are user friendly, less erroneous and handy as compared to spring balance. The subject is asked to stand barefoot with minimum possible clothing on the center of the electronic scale without touching anything else. Measurements are usually taken twice so as to avoid errors. The weighing scale is also standardized by known mass after every 10th reading. This picture depicts a very simple method how weight can be taken. Height of an individual is made up of the sum of 4 components: leg, pelvis, spine and skull. While for the detailed studies of human population, all these measurements are required, in field surveys, in field nutritional anthropometry, only the total height is recorded. It is an important parameter that should be measured directly and very accurately. Let's understand how it is done. The instrument is fixed on the wall at the height of 200 centimeters. The subjects are asked to remove their shoes and stand on the flat foot by the wall with the feet parallel to each other, heels, buttocks, shoulder blades in contact with the wall. The hands hanging loosely by the sides with the palm facing the thighs and shoulder relaxed. The movable headboard is then gently lowered until it touches the crown of the head. It is pressed lightly to compress the puff of the hair. The height is usually measured twice at the maximum expiration and recorded to the nearest millimeter. Look at this picture. Body mass index. BMI is defined as weight divided by height square and it is expressed as kg upon meter square. It can be calculated by the given formula. BMI is equal to weight in kgs divided by height in meters square. See this example. Body mass index or BMI accounts for differences in body composition by defining the level of adiposity according to the relationship of weight to height, thus eliminating the dependency of frame size. Although BMI is correlated with body fat, the relation varies according to age, gender, ethnicity and other factors such as body build. BMI classifications are intended to highlight people or population with an increased risk of health conditions associated with increased BMI, not to measure body fat per se. Obesity is defined as excess of body weight. There are 3 major set of growth references commonly used to assess overweight and obesity. The BMI cutoff points published by the US Center of Disease Control and Prevention, which is CDC, the International Obesity Task Force, which is IOTF, and World Health Organization, which is WHO, growth standards. Furthermore, there are references given by for the Indian populations too. Look at this table. This table describes and illustrates the criteria for BMI cutoffs by different agencies which are international, WHO, CDC and IOTF. Look at the table carefully. It gives the different cutoffs for overweight and obesity, which gives the same value, but the criteria are different for all the 3 international agencies. You can see that WHO gives BMI cutoffs, CDC gives BMI cutoffs for age and IOTF gives BMI cutoffs for age at a BMI level. Now, look at table 2. which gives a detailed overview of BMI classification given by WHO. The classification concentrates from adult underweight to overweight and obesity according to BMI. There are two different cutoffs. One are the international cutoffs and one are the special cutoffs for Asian population. We follow the same BMI cutoffs for underweight, severe thinness and mild thinness. But when it comes to normal range of BMI, for normal cutoffs it is 18.5 to 24.99, but for Asians we have two cutoffs, one less than 23 and one till 24.99. For normal range we have 18.50 to 25.99, but for Asian population we have two categories, one from 18.50 to 23 and another 23 to 24.99. The overweight goes hand in hand for Asian and the other population, but then we again have categorized pre-obese, obese, obese 1 and obese 2 along with obese 3 category. Obese 3 is the morbidly obese category which have a BMI of more than 40 for all the Indian population as well as Asian and international population. This table has been adapted from WHO 1995, WHO 2000 and WHO 2004 publications. After height and weight comes the circumferences. Body circumferences play a major role in body composition. For newborn and toddlers, head circumference and chest circumference are the decisive factors to assess the growth. But the other circumferences like MUAC, which is mid-upper arm circumference, is one of the body circumference which has changed its role over past decades. This is the grade of undernutrition, but in past few years MUAC has also been a marker to assess obesity in children as well as adults. Earlier it was used only to assess the grades of undernutrition, but in the past few years MUAC has also been a marker to assess obesity in children as well as adults. The muscle circumference of the mid-upper arm is derived from both mid-upper arm circumference and triceps Skinfold thickness and represents the circumference of the inner circle of muscle surrounding the small central core of the bone. Mid-upper arm muscle circumference is used to assess the total body mass, total body muscle mass. MUAC either alone or in combination with triceps Skinfold thickness can be used for calculating and estimating varying accuracy of protein reserves in human body and hence protein nutrition status. Tool used for measuring MUAC is a non-elastic, non-stretchable, flexible measuring tape. The sleeves of the garment are rolled up. The measurement is taken from the midpoint of the upper left arm between the acromion process and to the tip of acroleation. After locating the midpoint and marking it with a pen with a palm facing inward, the tape is wrapped gently but firmly around the arm at the midpoint. Care is being taken to ensure that the arm is not squeezed. Hip circumference. It is also known as gluteal circumference. It is the measurement by a non-elastic, non-stretchable elastic, flexible measuring tape. The subject is asked to stand straight with arms at the side and feet together. The measurement is usually taken at the point yielding the maximum circumference over the buttocks, with the tape held in a horizontal plane but not intending the soft tissues. Waist circumference, which is also known as abdominal circumference. It is a measurement used to determine waist-hip ratio of an individual. To perform a waist measurement, the lower rib margin is firstly located and marked with a felt tip pen. The iliac crest is then palpated and mid-axillary line is also marked. A non-elastic tape is then applied horizontally midway between the lowest rib margin and the iliac crest and tied firmly so as to stay in its position around the abdomen above the level of umbilicus. Again, a non-elastic tape is used and which thus defines the level of waist circumference which is measured. Also, the care is taken that the tape is made to fit snugly around the waist but not tightly to compress the underlying soft tissues, and the circumference is measured to the end of normal expiration. Waist-hip ratio is a simple method of describing distribution of subcutaneous and intra-abdominal adipose tissue. The waist ratio to the hip ratio provides an index of regional fat distribution and has proven valuable as a guide of health risk in abdominal and epidemiological studies. WHR equals to waist circumference divided by hip circumference. You can see in this table that there are different cutoffs for WHO. You can see in this table which gives the cutoffs for WHR as given by WHO and its health implications. Apart from weight, height and circumferences, a very important method to assess body composition is Skinfold. And Skinfold thickness measurements are said to provide an estimate of the size of subcutaneous fat deposit, which in turn provides an estimate of total body fat. It is practical in clinical setting, although validating depends on the accuracy of measuring technique and repetition of measurements over time. This measurement bases total body fat estimates on the assumption that 50% of body fat is subcutaneous. There are 5 major sites where Skinfold thickness can be read: triceps, subscapula, suprailiac, abdominal and thighs. Tricep Skinfold and subscapular measurements are the most useful measurements because the most standard and method of evaluation are available for these sites. Tricep Skinfold measurement is done at the midpoint of the back of the upper left arm. Harpender's caliper is a sophisticated instrument used to measure Skinfold thickness. The very same site is selected for measuring mid-upper arm circumference, and it is used to measure the tricep thickness. With the arm hanging relaxed at the side, the Skinfold parallel to the long axis is picked up between the thumb and forefinger, well away from the underlying muscle, and Skinfold is measured to the nearest of 0.1 millimeter by the means of Harpender calipers. The dial of the caliper is checked before each measurement and reset to 0 wherever necessary. This was all about anthropometry. The another thing is bioelectrical impedance analysis, which is also known as BIA. BIA is a very common method of estimating body composition. It is based on 2C body composition model of fat and water. Water is a good conductor of electricity and is mostly found in lean mass. On the other hand, fat, which is not a good conductor of electricity, impedes the electrical flow. BIA measures body composition by analyzing the total body water, fat free mass and fat mass by recording. The subject should be abstained from eating. The equipment to vary BIA measure can vary in size and functionality and use, but the end result is always the same. Some are standing equipments, while other may require a person to lay down for all the estimates to be done. The most commonly machines used are those which have 4 plates electrodes. The BIA operates by passing small electrical signals into the body, and the conducting ability of the body is then used to calculate the amount of lean mass, body water, bone mass and fat mass. The advantages of BIA includes its accurate results, portability, user friendly, easily available and varied price, thus making it attractive for population studies. The only precaution is that it is not highly recommended for people with pacemakers. Validity of BIA is influenced by age, gender, disease state and the race of ethnicity. The latest BMI equipments, apart from giving results on total body water and fat, the other estimates that can be given are fat percentage, fat free mass, muscle mass, BMI based on height, age and gender fed, metabolic age, bone mass, PMR, visceral fat, total body water percentage and segmented body analysis. Let us summarize. Indirect method of assessing body composition provides indices of body composition based on the results from direct and Creighton methods. Indirect method of body assessment is a non-invasive method of calculating body fat and other components. Indirect methods are widely used in population studies. There are 2 major indirect methods of assessing body composition: anthropometry and bioelectrical impedance analysis. Anthropometry is a sum of human dimension and is measured at various body parts with the help of different instruments. Based on these human dimensions, cutoff points are framed which are indicators at the risk population. Body impedance analysis or bioelectrical impedance analysis is one step ahead of anthropometry. BIA calculates the total percentage of fat, fat free mass, total body water, muscle mass, BMI, metabolic age, bone mineral density, visceral fat and total body water percentage and the segmented body analysis. Regardless of which instrument is being used, assessment of body composition and its assessment of body composition, it is very important to follow the standard guidelines and to follow the protocol associated with it so as to avoid all the possible errors.